welcome back. I hope everybody had an incredible, impactful, restful, creative summer. Again, we hope you did a lot of things with the family, had some time off, because it's time to get back to work, 100% per se. So again, welcome back. What I wanted to do today is we want to focus on a little bit about the why. And that why encompasses the fact of who we are. Over the course of the last few months, as well as even years, we've seen that there have been quite a few changes within several industries across the country, especially ours as well, people asking questions. And so one of the things that I wanted to make sure that we review today is, what is our why? Who are we? Why do we exist? And so what I did was I went to our website and talked about the three things that in essence are our vision or our mission. One is to connect with other members online and through social media and our website, and by networking through one of our many other conferences. Two is, of course, amplifying and promoting the voices, doing our monthly meetings, again, showcasing the talents and professionals in our community with eager to share their 30 years of experiences, again, within performance marketing spaces. And then, of course, to grow is, in essence, to grow your knowledge base across the board. But ultimately, we want to make sure that Blacks in Performance Marketing is a community dedicated to increasing the representation, involvement, and participation of Black professionals. As Matt would say some time ago, how do we continue the conversation? How do we make sure that just because we understand that nearly 3 years ago, there was a horrific death of George Floyd that put a spotlight on some of the many inefficiencies within our country, and that with a pandemic, it brought everybody to a stop, to sit back and say, what is going on? Well, guess what? Many of those things still, in my opinion, still exist. However, some things have been cured and other things perhaps have not. So what we want to do is we just want to make sure that the organization that we created, which is to provide, equality, to enhance the fact of making sure that we increase the numbers, that we know that the people that we are reaching out when we are working in our performance marketing industries are not just of one culture, but of many cultures, of many voices, of many languages, of many backgrounds. Are we best representing them in our leadership and in decisions that we're making? And that's extremely important, I believe, to me and to all of us. And guys, if I can, I'm going to give you just one example to why I believe that we are still relevant and why we still need to make sure that we're making constant changes. Unbeknownst to me, again, when I would go to a restroom, I would sit back and I would go and I would wash my hands. And I'm sure everybody who goes to the public restroom, you go wash your hands, hopefully, and realize that sometimes, and this is some time ago, but I realized when I would put my hand underneath that sink faucet, because it was an automatic one, guess what? Sometimes it wouldn't come on. And I would be like, what's going on? Why is this happening? Why is it happening that this thing won't go on? I would see a gentleman to my right or to my left come in, and he would put his hand in there, and guess what? The water would come on. I'm saying to myself, okay, I got to go over there. So I'm going to wait for him to finish. And I would walk over maybe 2-3 steps to the right or 2-3 steps to the left, and I would wash my hands. I would try to wash my hands, but guess what? It wasn't working. But I'm saying to myself, I clearly saw it just work for this white gentleman who was right next to me. Well, guess what? I later found out that I had to flip my hand back and forth because the actual system that it was built on did not recognize, in essence, the dark texture of my skin. They have since corrected that, I believe. However, there are still sinks that I go to that, guess what? I have to sit back and physically flip my hand back and forth because it does not recognize the darkness of my skin. Do I believe that that was created on purpose? The answer is no. However, there is a system of decision makers that when they built that and that technology, they built it to serve them and not to serve all. So I sit back and say, are we relevant? Are we still needed in a world that, this wonderful world that we are in? I think the answer is yes. However, I think that my opinion is nice, but I think your opinion works even better. And so that's why today we're going to spend a good portion of our time putting together and talking about the overall survey. We created a new section on the website that when you go there, we will be able to announce the members' accomplishments. I've come to realize that it's nice to kind of be in the mix, but there are so many powerful members that are part of Blacks in Performance Marketing, regardless of you being Black or not being Black, but being a member of this organization. We want to make sure that we give an opportunity to let everybody know what you're doing. So if you scroll down just a little bit where it says member accomplishments, I'm sorry, scroll back up, Mariano, please. So right to all the way to the far right, you'll see member accomplishments. I'm going to ask everybody, when you have a conference that you're going to be speaking at, if you have an award that you received, rather in your company or outside thereof, if there's any kind of accomplishment or acknowledgement, we would love for you to come to the website, click on to member accomplishments, let us know a little bit more about what you're doing and how you've done it. And then from that point on, we will sit back and our goal here is to, broadcast it on your behalf. So we get to brag for you. You don't have to brag for yourself. We want to brag for you on your behalf. So please let us know. We can't mention it unless you tell us about it. So please feel free to go there. And then we'll sit back and we'll highlight like some of the ones we've done in the past, and you'll see some of the ones that we've done where people wrote books, where people were highlighted and they were speakers, things of that nature. So we would love to keep that going. Mariano, scroll up a little bit. Another thing is I want to make sure that everybody is aware of the upcoming conferences and where there are discount offers for the members as well. So you can feel free to go to this area of the site. There are, again, one of the things that I love is the fact is that we have a new member and a new sponsor, which is called OneLink, where you can now actually receive a digital business card at a discounted price, because nobody really is handing out physical cards as much. And having this digital card, which allows you to have, in essence, a mini website that is featured about you in regards to everything that you have to offer, all companies that you're connected to, direct links going directly into your LinkedIn profiles and whatever it might be. Great opportunity there. And then I know Mike came up with a new directory, which is great. It's probably about 6 months old right now, which is called Performance Marketing Industry Directory, where if you are not listed already, again, I would definitely, want you to connect there. So these are all opportunities. There is a summit that's being held, and I think, I'm not sure if Todd is still here, but that's going to be just in about a week from now, which is on September 18th. And then, of course, we know we have LeadsCon coming up along with PACE. So feel free to go to the website and look at some of these things. Link Unite is there. Just continue to go through and see what's happening and be a part and have a voice.
Look, hey, we're almost there, which, I think those that put on events that are on the call know that we're just sitting back, sipping on margaritas and enjoying the afternoon relaxing moments that we have every day. It is crazy how close we are. And I will tell you that we have Harry Mack, which is a YouTube and TikTok star. He's got several million, 10 million followers on TikTok. He's going to be there, which is going to be a really different keynote for the event. We have the CEO of Linktree, that is Doug Lebda, and he's going to be talking about the industry and what's going on with it, and especially in mortgage and insurance. And it'll be a great fireside chat with him. We had the Federal Trade Commission that'll be there. And I've asked Ben Davison, who is from the FTC, hard questions and whether or not he'd be willing to answer those on the space. And he's agreed to talk about everything. And so there isn't an off-limits topic that he said that he'd be willing to do. And we also have a partner from 𝗪𝗟𝘃 that will be joining us on the stage to help ask the important questions. And then we have a couple of other keynotes that are going to be very inspirational. We have a Kansas City Chiefs cheerleader and Jason Schlechter, who was a former police officer who was hit from behind at 150 miles an hour at a stopped intersection, and 95% of his body was burned. And so, you know, the lineup is incredible. The afternoon will be a mixture of breakout sessions and a lot of energy focused on the exhibition floor. And so I think it's going to be a great experience for anybody who attends. And then on Wednesday night, this is a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday event, which is a little different in the rotation. But on Wednesday night, our opening reception will be at the NASCAR Hall of Fame with several activation points. If you've ever wanted to figure out what it'd be like to be a pit crew member of a NASCAR track, you're going to have a chance to race against others. And then there's full car simulators, moonshine tasting, you name it, it's going to be there. And so very excited to have everybody be there. And if you have not registered, or if you are on the fence, please give me a shout and we'll help you get you across the finish line.
Thank you. There's nothing better than moonshine tasting and driving NASCAR cars, right? Come on.
You get a shot right before you enter the car. So yeah, we'll be.
Yes, we have we have a couple things coming up. We've got the performance marketing directory that you mentioned, yeah, which is great. You know, really, it's, you know, whether it's whatever conferences, there's you know, your sponsors, your listing of companies that are involved in those shows, and they sort of only live for that period of time, maybe 6-7 months, to, you know, revolving around that show. And otherwise, it's kind of hard to find, you know, companies out there in the industry. And so really, it's a simple goal, just to try to create an industry-wide directory of companies. And we do filter out a lot of the riffraff from the directory, meaning it's very targeted, the people that are on that list. And so if you'd like to be a part of it, great. We're continuing to promote it. We drive advertising to it. My soon to be 21-year-old daughter, with you know, getting her marketing degree at LSU, helps me on creating some of the newsletters. Go Tigers! Maybe I saw a little something there on it. So it does get work. It's not a stagnant directory, and it will continue to develop it. So be a part of it. It's free. You can pay for some added things, but you know, join the free version at best. And then of course we've got AFI Expo coming up next month, which is a unique show. It's Expo Hall has a mastermind for pay-per-call marketing, which is going to be led by, have you been thinking about like pay-per-call, which might be a good idea away from data leads, you definitely want to consider maybe attending this, because Adam Young, Harrison Gerritz, and Carlos Crono are like the kings of pay-per-call, and they've got 4 hours of a mastermind. They're going to show you how to get it going. So really, really cool. And then we have an awards gala, which I know some people on this call are nominated for. We have got Jeff Ross, like the legendary roast master, if you're familiar with him. He'll be hosting it. And then Mixmaster Mike from the Beastie Boys is going to be sort of the house DJ. So it's going to be a lot of formal dinner, all kinds of stuff. It's going to be really fun, a little bit different, not your traditional trade show. But is there anything else?
No, that was great. And guys, keep in mind, the reason why this call again is a little bit different from most of our calls is because we want to not only sit back and survey the land, and as well as all of our members, but we want to make sure that all of the conferences that we have access to, we know that, guess what, the conference owners, again, while several of them are on this phone right now, they're making sure that we have access. So right now, so if access was an issue, I'll go here as a membership, we're removing some of those walls that did not give us access to it. So if it's not knowing about it, if it was financial, whatever it might be, the goal here is that we want to sit back and say, what has Blacks in Performance Marketing done? Well, guess what? We've provided better, more access to several events. There's actually several that are actually listed on the website. Some of them are completely free to members. I've had an opportunity to talk to some people, and I think Chad may have attended one this past week. There was one that was in New York that they gave us 5 free passes across the board. So people are coming out and making change because they realize when they look around the room that, again, the room is not representative of the audience that they are looking to reach. And so they're looking to add more people. And so where things are happening in the room, there, you know what, we all have a voice in making sure that we give more to others, again, across the board. So that's the reason why we're highlighting some of the people today. Amanda, are you still with us? I would love for you to talk a little bit about just what's going on with Link Unite.
Yeah, I am. And I am I'm coming out from being under the weather, so I apologize for sounding a little atrocious at the moment. But yes, we have Link Unite coming up next week, and we're in full swing mode over here, just plotting and getting everything together and working with all the other shows that are coming up. Obviously we're going to be at Legion World and AFI Expo and things like that. But on our end, we're really just trying to push the initiative forward. We're getting as many, female speakers on stage as possible at all these shows, and then circling up the bandwagons at Link Unite itself, which is coming up in Park City, like I said, and kind of just share ideas on where we think the industry is going and start kind of starting the topics for Q4 and 2024 in terms of what we want to, focus on and what you guys are doing and what all the other organizations are doing and how we can collaborate for, next year. So that's our mission moving forward. And I apologize again for sounding terrible today.
No.
Hey, Amanda, this is Matt. Can you tell everybody what Link Unite in Park City is? I don't think that everybody knows.
I apologize. Yes, Link Unite is a executive leadership retreat for women. So we really focus on the performance marketing space, but just by the natural, I think, evolution of the group itself, and because it's all based on relationships, we've kind of, sauntered over into marketing greater, and I would say the tech side of things as well, like fintech, app developers, site developers, things like that. So the idea is really to bring in director level up women to really focus on how do we accelerate the career path from director to VP to C-suite, or for a lot of people, and on that track is entrepreneurship. So how do I write a business plan? How do I get seed funding? Where do I find it? We really try to pull together all of those different types of, minds to say, as a group and as a hive mind, we have access to all of these resources and all of these different things that we can do together if we really just, band together. But pulling in that group of people into a space where you're removing the 30-minute networking meetings at the Cosmo or the W Hotel in New York, which I think we're all pretty accustomed to at this point. It really gives us more of an opportunity to get to know each other on a personal level. So as working mothers or people going through IVF or whatever it might be, it allows people to kind of really focus on, what it is to be a woman in the workplace. And then how do we also just increase our, our initiatives and what's important to everyone else, and how do we get those things done? So that's the focus. And then we do, one-day events with all the other events, really just trying to, attract as many different minds as we possibly can. I hope that's a good overview, Matt. I know, I'm on the sick brine. I got like 50.
No, that's great. I just wanted to make sure everybody knew all the great things that Link Unite is doing, as well as all the other organizations. So
absolutely, we got some ad board members on here. Yeah,
Amanda, if that's your sick mind, oh my gosh.
I'm like, and some of my board members are on here, so we're definitely well represented. I've got Mike and Matt definitely represent us, and Sarah's on here, and our idea is really just we're better together, and collaboration is key. So that's our mission, moving forward. So
and don't forget Joey as well.
Oh, Joey, I didn't see you on there. I haven't. You're in the middle. That's why you're on the second page. There you are, my love.
This is all supposed to be 100% even. We all have the same starting point. Well, I'm going to let you guys know that is not the case. Everybody does not start off equal. Everybody doesn't start off at, a level of 1. Some start off at an area of -2. Again, some people have it, and every situation is different. Every upbringing is different. I understand that. But for people of color, again, especially in our great country of the USA, things have not been equal. Things won't be equal for some time. However, we can make a difference by just little adjustments like that. So if you have in your place of work, if you actually have an opening, feel free to send it to us. Let us post it. Last year, we had an opportunity. It wasn't a lot, but we were actually able to find one young lady who, from PACE, actually. She actually worked at the conference, at the last PACE conference. She joined as a member, She put, she actually, and I was able to connect her with, I forget which company, and she was employed and is working out well. So guess what? So we can make a difference. It might not be huge, but we can definitely make a difference. So enjoying that part. Is there any particular, as I'm going through and reviewing some of the questions, is there anyone that looked at a question and said, Sean, this is my viewpoint and I want to share it? Or Sean, why did you choose to actually have that question? I would love for you to, respond. Let us know. Again, is there change happening? Is there not enough change happening? Why you believe that is the case? Do you have an example thereof that you want to share that might be personal or something that you heard of? Would love to get that feedback. This here is an open forum, no judgment, but just the fact of sharing, so that we can continue to do our best to make better and more change.
Sean, just if I could just quickly interject with this is Ian McCray over at LeadsCon. I was just curious about with this question, as with some of the others, and perhaps it could be chalked up to my naivete. But is there would you be able to kind of give some examples of what that change would be? And I know some of it might look like hiring. Some of it might look like training. I think maybe that would be a more interesting question to see what kind of change has occurred. I mean, we had AI, the programmers of the LeadsCon events. We've had. I haven't seen anything, or I don't know of anything hiring in terms of our hiring practices. But I do know that we've done a bunch of training, a lot of training over the past 2 years. But what other examples, I guess, what does the other examples of change look like? Because I feel like maybe we are doing enough when I look at our, or that we are doing a fair amount when I look at our representation from our company, but maybe there's other stuff that we're not doing. So,
again, great question. I wish I had the 100% answer to that, but what I can do is my goal here is, as opposed to me answering that question just from my point of view, I can give you further examples thereof, and I'll make sure that it is on our next meeting, and also things that'll go out via email as well, because we want to make sure that we give you suggestions. We want to give everyone suggestions on what we can do to make change. But here again, right now, this is based on just the survey of everybody who's attending. Right now, do we believe there's been enough change right now? It is, there's 46% that said no, but there's 15% that said yes. And then there's 38% that said they're not sure. So this here allows us to direct our meetings so that they are meeting the needs of what our members are requesting and asking for. So again, great question. And again, because I'm very opinionated, I'm not going to give you my opinion, but I am going to make sure that we answer more of those questions. Here is something, this is a question that I thought was incredible, because again, even on the national stage, again, I'm not sure if you guys recognize, but over the course of the last 3 years, there have been another C-level position that had been added that actually grew more and more. It was the Chief Diversity Officer. Well, guess what? That Chief Diversity Officer that grew and, came out of, in essence, almost nowhere, so that we could actually have more diversity and somebody who was focused there on it. Well, guess what? That position is slowly dying and fading away fairly quickly. I know slowly, but so right now, the fact of who is benefiting. Well, guess what? The majority of Chief Diversity Officers are women, not individuals of color. Again, right now, the DEI&A, right now, what do we focus on? Again, is it just the diversity of, ethnicities? Is it a diversity of men to women? Where is it? Where should it be? Is it individuals with disabilities? Again, and even though I believe it should be always all-inclusive, again, is there enough change? Again, things of that nature. So this here, each one of these questions can lead to 5 other questions. But at least I wanted to make sure that the survey wasn't too long so that you guys would feel comfortable completing it, but it gives us enough direction on where we should be doing. So right now, here are some answers, again, which I love. And again, we'll make sure that we make this public knowledge to you guys as well, so that everybody's informed.
I just wanted to ask, for those who think that their organization has, well, I don't know how to do this without somebody being comfortable with sharing what their response was, but I guess if I could receive feedback on what people think it does look like when an organization is doing everything to ensure that there is equality among their employees and that they're creating opportunities for everyone. I will share candidly at my organization, there seems to be a lot of intentionality behind it, but it doesn't seem like there's the passion from the rest of the company, and that there is almost like conflicting goals for other things that make it essentially fall to the wayside. So I would like to hear, and I mean, in my previous organization, that just really wasn't a focus at all. So I just want to know what it looks like to have an organization that is doing those things outside of, what I would feel, if someone was making sure that they were seeing me and understanding me and creating opportunities for me to succeed.
Hey, Sean, can I
Sure.
speak on that? I think
Please.
one of the things that we did early on in kind of this conversation that we had within DEI was this ongoing training and support, right? That provided an understanding of the differences, yet the similarities between all people, whether it be critical thinking, understanding that you have these unconscious biases that you don't even realize are there. The fact that collaboration amongst diverse people leads to successful organizations. These types of conversations I found early on really helped propel the growth of companies. What I feel has happened so far is that now that we are 3 years removed from, a murder that amplified the discussion, that discussion is no longer there, right? That's died off, and we no longer have that in the forefront. I think that needs to come back, right, within organizations. That needs to be an ongoing conversation that has to continue to push DEI forward. Unfortunately, like Sean said, the position of a chief diversity officer is somewhat dying, right? This person is probably one of the first people to be let go in an environment that is all about, profitability and revenue growth. That's different than where we were 3 years ago, when this was the most important person in an organization to keep these organizations together. Furthermore, I think that there are two ways that we should be looking at this. And Sean, obviously, awesome job here with this. But there's the impact within the organizations, but there's also the impact within the industry. Because when I look at the audience that we have here today, this is very different than the audience that we had 3 years ago, right? The audience 3 years ago, and I'm just going to be direct, was me and Sean and a lot of people that didn't look like us. And we were talking about how do we create a more diverse industry, and that is now happening, whether it be on this call, whether it be at conferences. I would say everybody, all of the conference leaders that are here today, you've done a phenomenal job of opening your arms to a diverse group of attendees, and also amplifying the attendees by putting them on stage, giving them the ability to speak, and really putting your arms around all people in this industry. So that's enough of my soapbox, but I just wanted to share that in terms of where I've seen the progression here and what we still need to do to continue to move this forward.
I'm gonna chime in, Sean, just for 1 second, because Matt gave one of the most impactful speeches to, there's a discussion during one of the Leeds Council meetings a couple years ago after the George Floyd murder, and it was one of the most impactful for me and a lot of people that were on that meeting. And I think, Matt, you're spot on. We're in performance marketing specifically, where a lot of industries have suffered. So there's been a lot of layoffs the last 3 to 6 months, even beyond that. So unfortunately, a lot of that position has been eliminated. And, I remember those meetings, and I remember different companies mentioning, what they were doing within their culture and DE&I, and trying to break off meetings. And I don't see that anymore or hear about it. And I talk to a lot of different companies in my own consulting. So I think we need to do whatever we can to put it back on the front burner. We understand that there's layoffs and there's resources that, have been depleted, but it's not an excuse, and I think we have to continue to push this back on the front burner.
Agreed. So one of the things, again, right now, if you guys can look at your screen, if you see the question that's up here talking about people, being tired of hearing about equality, again, do I believe that in any conference should it be 100%? The answer is no, not 100% of the agenda, but should it have 5-10% thereof? Should it be mentioned? The answer is yes. And so with that in mind, the fact is that we're looking at a question like this as far goes some people feeling that it's being overemphasized, other people saying, hey, it doesn't affect me, so I'm tired of hearing about it. It's no longer, again, but they're not thinking about the fact of the person to the left or to the right of them, or the person that they're marketing to, that it does affect. So again, it's kind of empathizing with other people across the board, but also the misconceptions behind it. Right now, I know that Indala had an opportunity to do the actual keynote last year, and there were a few people that I had overheard that believed that her session focused too much at all in regards to critical thinking. Critical, what is it called? I can't even think about it. It's
critical race theory.
Yeah, critical race theory. So while she was doing critical thinking about thinking better, just as an individual, regardless of race, they took it as critical race theory. And I was just floored. And the only reason why, I think because of what she stated, if it came out of somebody's mouth who was not Black, they would have probably never thought that way. But because she was a woman of color, she is a woman of color, and she made those statements about being the better thinker for yourself, nothing to do with race and per se, except for maybe that one little area in as far as how you had to the island exercise. Why would you think that it would be a critical, race theory? I don't know. So it's interesting, guys. We have to make sure that we keep the conversation going. So right now, again, everybody, thank you so much for attending. We've got just 2 minutes before we're leaving. I appreciate everyone completing the survey. This is going to give us some great positive direction to go in, direction that we will keep in mind everybody's feedback, so that for next month's meeting, we will sit back and we'll be able to reflect upon everything that was asked and answered here, and make sure that we do the best job that we possibly can for ourselves, our company, our industry. We thank you for your feedback. And if at any given point you have a comment or a voice, you want more of a voice, feel free to reach out to me directly, and I'll make sure that I make time for you in our coming meetings. But again, this here is an open forum, a trusted forum. Please, no judgment, but let's lead to change. Let's lead to change, positive change for each and every one of us. And as Matt mentioned, guess what? That change also tends to put a lot more money in our pockets. So if you need an added incentive, if it wasn't just for the moral incentive, if you need financial incentive, there it is.
Sean, I just want to acknowledge one thing. Ian McRae posted in the chat about a DEI session for LeadsCon 2024.
Okay.
That's definitely something we should plan. Right, we should discuss and put it together so that we can continue to amplify the voices of those involved with DEI, and possibly even a forum for all of the organizations to at least be able to speak and talk about what we're all doing to support the efforts of DEI. So thank you, Ian.
Oh, no problem. I know Mike's done a great job with it at the Lead Gen World events, and Link Unite does. We definitely want to be showcasing that at LeadsCon too. So let's plan on getting this panel on stage. If anybody wants to lead that effort, just get in touch with me. Matt, you and I can follow up after the call for sure.